Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to World This Morning. I am your host Hajra Sati and joining me is my wonderful co-host Ahmed Nawaz. Assalamu alaikum Ahmed. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Hajra gave me a long weekend, so I had a time to relax and obviously Shahzad Bhai was back and now he's once again on those very important duties, sports related of course. It's good to be back as well, and then again whenever you come in the morning and you see one of your co-anchors doing this bunch of authentic research, it really brightens up your day. So I'm very well and I'm hoping for a great show today.
Yeah, Jazakallah. Thank you so much for saying that, but we make sure at the PTV that we put in a lot of effort and it's authentic when it goes out to the screen because we believe in the responsible journalism, right Ahmed?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have seen that there is a movement going around in the world, especially the movement regarding the rights of the nature, right? How should we protect the ecological systems, the rivers? And then there was a very interesting fact that people actually had a funeral for an ice, the glacier melting in the Iceland, and they mourned that funeral and there was a eulogizing that funeral, etc., and they wanted to build awareness regarding that and how climate change is affecting us and how the glaciers are melting. Why am I talking about this subject? Because I do believe that Pakistan has the Himalayas, which has the largest, I think the third largest snow caps here, and it is known as the third pole because the amount of the ice that we do have. And we have seen, Ahmed, how the flooding has impacted us, how the glaciers are melting and how these, the rise in the global warming and the temperature is affecting us. So they talked about that how there's an ecological grief, the term that they coined, and they want to grieve that because after grief there comes the sense of the guilt, that how we are exploiting Earth's resources at such an exponential pace with so much greed, and we are not looking after ourselves, our future generations when it comes to that, right?
Absolutely. It's up. I think it's all on us. The onus is on us, and that's why we need to act, all of us responsibly, especially Pakistan, a country which is most vulnerable to climate change as well. On that note, we've got some updates to share with you as well regarding our top stories. Let's go take a look at that and then of course discuss them further. First of all, we know that the UN organization on climate change, because we are talking about that and mitigation strategies, the COP27 has announced Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif as the Vice President of the forum. Pakistan has been honored on this prestigious COP27 forum. Prime Minister has been honored out of 195 member states of the United Nations. Egypt is the current president of the forum. The President Abdul Fattah al-Sisi has also extended an invitation to the Prime Minister to jointly preside over the COP27 meeting.
Okay, and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, Norwegian President and Egyptian President will jointly preside over the meeting, and the conference of the parties will be held at the Sharm el-Sheikh. I think this is a very prestigious moment for us because I think Pakistan is best suited for advocating against the climate change because we are the worst affected when it comes to that, right? And world is witness to that.
Yes.
So, and moving on to another interesting top story, it's about at the inauguration ceremony of the third coal block 2. The foreign minister said that Pakistan-China economic corridor is a game changer for Pakistan. While speaking on the occasion, Chinese ambassador Nong Rong said China values its ties with Pakistan and that China will continue to support Pakistan. He expressed satisfaction over the progress of CPEC as projects are being completed in time. While Chief Minister Murad Ali Shah said the third coal will brighten up all of the Pakistan, he said the government of Sindh worked tirelessly, spending $750 million to build infrastructure.
That's very interesting. The Prime Minister also met a couple of women as well on the project who were actually contributing the most when you talk about the field of dump truck drivers, and the Prime Minister inquired about their job and their profession. It was very interesting. But Hajra, we do know that the month of October is very, very special. Especially in Pakistan now, it's celebrated as Pinktober, and there is a lot of awareness. And for that fact, of course, we're going to be discussing about breast cancer awareness in Pakistan and this movement that we call Pink Ribbon, because I think that it's made a definitive difference. At least we've started talking about it now. So that's why it's very important to understand where this cause all started from. And for that, we're very honored to be joined by today in studios by the founder and the CEO of Pink Ribbon, Mr. Umar Altaf. Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Sir, great to have you on the show. Of course, there's a lot of insight that we want to have, but I think the first question boils down to the subject itself of why did we feel the urgent need, you yourself, that look, there needs to be a movement on a national scale to actually talk about this subject, let alone, work on it religiously.
Unfortunately, Pakistan has the highest rate of breast cancer in whole of Asia. Every 9th woman in Pakistan is at risk of breast cancer. That means that more than 10 million women are at risk of breast cancer in Pakistan, which is a very, very alarming situation. On the other hand, breast cancer is the only cancer which can be diagnosed at early stage, and if it's diagnosed at the early stage, the chances of survival are more than 90%. Whereas we saw women coming to hospital reporting with breast cancer, 70% women they report third stage or more than that. So the whole concept of the campaign was and is to aware women about early detection and how they can save their life from this deadly disease.
Okay, and do you feel, sir, that you are successful in your objectives in raising awareness and destigmatizing this very concept of the disease, which is so much deadly, but it is a preventable disease, right, when it comes to the early detection? So what's your response on that?
Well, for almost initial 10-12 years, it was very difficult to talk about it. Even when we started our campaign, when we launched it, all the TV channels, they blacked out. They said that we can't take this B word on television. That's how we started. And even going in the communities and at the grassroots level, at the family level, at every level, talking about this issue was always a very, very big issue. I think the success of the campaign right now, especially for last 3-4 years, is that at least now this topic has come on the national health agenda, and at least we have started talking about it. It is a big issue, and the burden is so big, we have to go a long way, but at least we have started talking about it. Another very unusual situation regarding breast cancer in Pakistan is that globally the average age of breast cancer is 55 years.
Okay.
We see that in Pakistan, unfortunately, the average age is 35 years.
Why is that so?
And let me add one thing more,
Sure,
that
sure.
even we are now in last 3-4 years, we are seeing young girls being diagnosed with breast cancer in their 17, 18, 19 years. Why? Up till today, we don't have any one particular reason that why it's so, but generally some studies suggest that whatever we are eating, lots of genetically modified food, lots of chemicals and pesticides in our food, the steroids used, for example, to get more milk, the steroids used to grow the chicken, and these things, they are definitely affecting the human health, and especially the female health. They create hormonal imbalance in young girls, and with hormonal imbalance, the estrogen levels are affected, and estrogen is directly linked with breast cancer.
Very important, sir, that you talk about the social aspect of this, and I think it's still a big setback or a big hurdle that we need to overcome to actually talk about this. So obviously the role of this entire process of the awareness, Hajra, does not only fall on women as well, but even the men of the house, even the male segment of society that needs to be involved in creating awareness, making sure that simple steps are taken for early detection, and that taboo is eliminated, sir. So how important has it been to have a structured approach on the national level as far as institutions or organizations are concerned?
Well, our model has been always a public-private partnership. We have been working with the government at all levels. For example, we are partners with the Higher Education Commission, and with Higher Education Commission, we go to more than 200 colleges, universities across Pakistan every year. You must have seen that for last few days, PTA has supported, and the ringtone has changed. And also we need to see this in a holistic way. We need to look at it from starting from prevention, then early diagnosis, then the treatment, and then the access to healthcare. So for prevention, for example, we are advocating with the government for now a few months that there are some chemicals and additives and preservatives which already FDA has banned because they are cancerous. So we are talking with the food authorities to ban them in Pakistan as well. Then we are talking with the Punjab government, and they have agreed to start one-stop breast clinic in all the teaching hospitals. We have already started one in the services or hospital in Lahore. We are talking with the KP government, and they have agreed to put mammogram facility at all the district headquarter hospitals. So we need to see it in a. We don't want to just create a scare in our society. Yes, it's a very alarming thing. One another, I think this year our campaign is focusing on Become a Better You theme. It's talking about healthy lifestyle.
Okay.
Because now the studies show that 40% risk of breast cancer and cancer can be reduced with lifestyle change. And it means that eating healthy diet,
Right.
doing exercise and physical activity, and mental health.
Okay.
These three things can reduce the risk of breast cancer.
Okay, so coming back to the mental wellness aspect of the breast cancer awareness, and certainly yesterday we had the mental wellness entire day dedicated to it. Sir, so I know a woman who has been through the chemo process, and because she was diagnosed with the breast cancer, and she told me that and she was going through that chemo process, and
Right.
there was an entire identity change in her body. Of course, there is a physical change. Of course, that reflects in her identity. And she told me that you have a very lovely eyebrows, and I said that I never noticed that, and that's because this is a nemat of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and we are never
Definitely.
thankful for that, because we take it for too granted for when it comes to that, right? So in West we see there are a lot of support groups, right? But Pakistan does not have that much vibrant existence of the support groups. But I do feel that the social media has changed a lot of dynamics where people can go out there. And so how much important do you think that the support groups, or are there is a presence of the support groups when it comes to the breast cancer awareness?
Well, it's very, very important. We have our survivor program, so we connect survivors with the patients, because we see that a survivor is a candle of hope for a patient. She can see through her that after all the treatment, the survivor is having a healthy life.
Right.
And then the family support. We fortunately in our society we still have family support there. And so what we say that survivor is not just that one patient. In fact, the whole family is a survivor, because the whole family
Has been through it.
go through that trauma and pain and misery. Yes, survivors play a very important role as support group for the patients.
So you mentioned a very particular point where you're involving education institutions and creating awareness as well. As you mentioned, this year's theme is about a healthy lifestyle and fitness and exercise. Even after the pandemic, we've been very serious about how we're living our lives now. What's the way forward right now for Pakistan? Existing right now in the structure, what would you say is still the biggest hurdle that the Pink Ribbon sees right now in Pakistan?
Well, I think changing the mindset of the society. Unfortunately, we are a patriarchal society, and anything to do with women, that becomes an issue. And especially when it comes to women's sexuality, that becomes a bigger issue. So I think we need to work on the mindset of the society, which is a long-term process. Behavior change is a long-term process, but because now we can reduce the risk by 40% with prevention. If early detection is done, survival is possible. Treatment facilities are available, but why still women are not coming and reaching to hospital at time? So that's all to do with our mindset of the society even till today.
That's very important. So what's the rate of, Hajar, if you would also want to inquire that, what's the rate of testing that we can actually, for detection, obviously it's important to get yourself tested as well. So what's the rate that we're looking for? I know certain medical institutions have also, yearly or monthly have started a campaign where they've offered these services for free, just so that more and more women actually get tested.
I think the first step, the most important step for early detection is self-examination. All the girls and women, they need to fix one day in a month, and they need to do their own self-examination. That's the first step. You even don't need to go to a doctor or anywhere else. Then, after the age of 20, every 2 years, they should go for the clinical examination, and after the age of 40, every 2 years there should be a mammogram. Yes, there is a slight increase in getting mammograms done. In fact, there's been 30% increase in patient turnout in breast clinics since the Pink Ribbon campaign started from 2004. This is a positive sign. But the overall situation of breast cancer is, is such a big issue that we need to have 100% change in this.
Definitely, that's very definitive that we see, and obviously, Hajra, that's why behavioral change is very important.
True, when it comes to that. So we want to incorporate some facts into the narrative of the Pinktober and the breast cancer awareness. So, sir, it is said that breastfeeding mothers are at less risk of getting the breast cancer. Is it a true thing?
Well, there is breastfeeding lowers the risk of breast cancer by almost 5%.
Okay. Not
but then again, the young girls being diagnosed with breast cancer, even not married.
Have nothing to do with it, yes.
But yes, breastfeeding is good for mother's health and baby's health, and it lowers the risk by 5%.
Right, wonderful. And going to the early warning system, so what are some of the signs, when it comes to the breast cancer awareness that we should be looking out for that?
Indicators.
The first and foremost is if there is a lump in any area of the breast or underarm.
Okay.
That's the first foremost alarming thing, and we see many women, they would notice it and they would ignore it.
Okay.
So that's the first step. Then there can be dimpling or rashes on the breast skin, and there might be some discharge as well. So these are the 3-4 early signs of breast cancer.
Right.
The warning signs when we talk about this, and that's why I think self-examination becomes very important.
True. Because I think the bodily changes that you are going through, you are the best person to understand.
To judge them, yes.
If something is wrong within your body. And so, sir, when it comes to that, especially the discourse in the Pinktober and on the breast cancer awareness, what sort of element do you think is missing in Pakistani society apart from the mindset change that we need to focus on in order to have a more broad-ranging discussion on this issue?
So I think there are lots of myths and misconceptions around this issue as well. Again, as I earlier said, we need to see it in a very holistic way. So at one end, there are taboos and myths and misconceptions. On the other hand, we need to see the access to healthcare. We need to we are talking to DRAP to see if we can lower the price of the therapies, because again that's another very big challenge. For example, a complete cycle of chemo will cost not less than 2 million rupees, which is very high cost for a normal household.
Yes.
So we need to work seriously on the prevention. We need to work very seriously on the early detection. We need to work on the access to healthcare, and we need to work on the availability of the complete treatment, the therapies.
So, sir, how's the process going? Are we getting people on board who can obviously come towards sponsorship of those treatment and pour in money so that this treatment can be readily available at a low cost? Because obviously right now in Pakistan, we've got a large number of people who are below the poverty line who might not even recognize this disease.
Well, again, it's a slow process, and then again, in Pakistan, at times it's one step ahead and two back, because with all, for example, now this recent flood, it's such a big calamity.
Setback,
so everything has moved towards the flood, and yes, rightly so. But again, as Pink Ribbon, we keep on beating the drum. One another thing I would like to share is that Pink Ribbon is setting up Pakistan's first dedicated breast cancer hospital in Lahore. Wonderful. In fact, one portion of the hospital is complete. We have started the The clinic, we have started the diagnostic services free of cost. And as we speak, we are in the process of the installation of the mammogram facility. And in next 6 to 8 months, this hospital will be providing the complete service, and it's free of cost. It's a charity hospital.
That's a huge leap forward, isn't it, Hajra?
That's true, and I think we need to have more such like of institution to tackle this very preventable yet deadly disease when it turns into it. So, sir, if someone does get the breast cancer, and of course, women are more prone to it, but it's not just limited to women. Men can also get that, right? So obviously, we talked about after the chemo or during the chemo, they're going through a lot of changes, physical changes, bodily changes, identity changes when it comes to that. So how exactly we should talk to them that should be more sensitive when it comes to that, because of course they're going through a lot when it comes to that.
Well, I think it's lots of counseling, counseling of the patient, counseling of the family members,
Right.
counseling of the family members, how to deal with the patient.
Right.
So that's a quite a, again, of course it's while going through chemo, internally as well externally, women are badly affected, and in fact that's one of the reasons we see many patients not coming forward for treatment, because they don't want to lose their hair, they whatever they read about chemo. But again, after going through this whole trauma, at the end of the day, they can save their life.
Right.
I think that's what's important. Policy-wise, sir, I must ask you and inquire this on my personal level as well, from my own knowledge and for our viewers. Where do we stand policy-wise? Because one integral part of this entire campaign becomes where we can take those policy decisions that are necessary to make it more effective, have even a more outreach, and obviously I think on one grassroots level, as I always say, at least we've started talking about it. At least PTA has gone to that extent of getting ringtones. Buildings have gone to the extent of changing their colors for this month. So policy-wise, where do we stand?
I think there is a positive tilt towards this whole issue of breast cancer. Now we are talking at the highest level, and things are moving. Things are moving in the right direction. Yes, because there was an economic crisis in the country, then the floods. So, but we are very hopeful. Things are moving in the right direction, and we are trying our best to come up with a very holistic approach to address this issue, and again with the support of the government.
Definitely. Haja, what would you say should be the right case right now for all our viewers watching?
Right.
Well, I mean, how can everybody get involved?
I think the fact that our First Lady is very much involved and invested into cause, I think that's a very good sign, because every year she personally goes out, she addresses the seminars, and I think her husband is also a doctor, so that adds a lot of credence to her campaign when it comes to that, right? And I also wanted to talk about the demographics of the women who are more prone or as a risk factor when it comes to the breast cancer. Since you're dealing with that, you have entire campaign. So would you like to shed some light on the demographics of such kind of women?
Well, again, if we talk about at the national level, so right now, unfortunately, we don't have the cancer registry. But there are some high-risk groups. So women who have family history, they have 5 to 7% higher risk. Obesity is one of the risk factors. Having early periods is a risk. So there are some given risk factors.
That definitely affected as well. But sir, thank you very much for being on the show. It was very insightful. On behalf of the Pink Ribbon and this entire campaign, what message would you like to give out to the fraternity watching right now, and especially how people can on their individual self spread this cause further?
Breast cancer is a disease. We need to just see it as a disease, and we need to separate it from the women's sexuality, so that we can change the mindset in the society.
Definitely.
And early detection is the key for survival.
Definitely. So thank you very much for being on the show. A lot of insight that we've gotten. And of course, I think on a personal level, me and Hajra will always be advocating this, not just on the month of October, but throughout as well. That brings us to the point where we take a short break. But when we come back, we'll have some interesting things to discuss. Stay tuned to World This Morning. Welcome back to World This Morning. Me and Hajra had a very interesting discussion, of course, regarding a very sensitive topic. And now, of course, that brings us to the second part of our show, which is absolutely interesting.
Of course. So today we are observing the World Girl Child Day, and this is something that is very beautiful day, because I do feel that the daughters or the girls, they're the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Ahmed, you're a father of a daughter, right? And you must observe that how beautiful and pretty the girls are, especially with their innocence. And of course not girls, obviously boys are also very cute and pretty, and especially all the children are alike to their parents. So this day, the theme of the Girl Child Day is Our Time Is Now, Our Rights, Our Future. And why do we even feel the need to have this sort of a day? Because obviously we know that women are a marginalized segment all over the world, but especially when it comes to Islam, Ahmed. So, Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given a lot of rights to women, to the girls, and we saw that there was a practice of femicide when the girls or the child was born there, they were buried alive, right? But that was the door of, or the era of the Jahiliyyah, right? Or the arrogance. The
Islam gave rights to women.
True, true. To the girls, to the women when it comes to that. And that is why we had an enlightenment and that contributed towards the human civilization as a whole. And now we see that the embodiment of that in the form of the Girl Child Day. So today we are very lucky and we are very glad that we have someone here from a very prestigious organization which is working very diligently for the rights of the girls. And obviously when they bloom and blossom into beautiful women, they contribute very nicely towards the society. So I'm very glad that we have been joined by Ms. Zaheen Faisal, who is the International Secretary of the National Headquarters of the Pakistan Girls Guide Association. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you very much for joining us. We've also been joined by somebody who's part of this organization as well, as a senior guide of the Pakistan Girl Guides Association. Laiba Khalid is joining us. Assalamu alaikum, Laiba. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Very interesting, of course, Sajra, that we've got organizations and who are contributing, and also a role model for everybody as well.
True. So we would like to ask Ms. Zaheen about, please tell us something about your organization. So what is exactly is doing, and I do feel that Laiba is wearing a red scarf, right? So after Zaheen answer, I really wanted to ask, why are you wearing a red scarf?
I'm a senior guide, that's why my scarf is red.
Wonderful.
And she's a guider, so yeah.
Yes.
Basically, Pakistan Girl Guide Association was started by Muhtarma Fatma Jinnah in 1947. It's the largest voluntary movement in Pakistan right now, who's working for girls, to empower girls, to make them confident and law-abiding citizens.
But talk us through the number, because off camera, I actually, Hajra, inquired about the number of girl guides we have, and it's astonishing. What's the number that we look at?
It's
right
almost 130,000 volunteers who are connected with us, in which we have volunteers, senior members, we have junior guides, girl guides, senior guides, and young leaders.
Wonderful. I mean, just talk about the mandate, and of course, direction is something that comes on a later stage. But having an outreach all across Pakistan and getting these many girls involved is absolutely phenomenal. So, Laiba, talk us through your journey. When did you decide that, okay, I'm going to be a girl guide and I'm going to join this organization?
Okay, so I still remember when guiding was first introduced in our school. So a guider came to my class and asked me who wants to join Pakistan Girl Guide Association. So when I first heard this name, Pakistan Girl Guide Association, you know, what did I think of? I thought, that sounds kind of interesting. I should definitely join that. And that was the start of my journey as a Girl Guide.
Very interesting.
Wonderful. So, Ahmed, we have seen that how Fatma Jinnah was very much invested and involved with her brother, especially for the independence movement for Pakistan. And she had that entire group of the women who came out in the support of their husbands, their brothers, and they actually contributed towards the independence of the Pakistan movement in the decolonization when it comes to that. So, that's a wonderful concept around here, and especially that Pakistan has a very, well invested community system or the family system, and women are a very integral part of that, right?
Exactly.
So empowerment also starts from a family system when it comes to that.
Exactly.
So walk us through that. How exactly is your organization contributing towards the girls' empowerment?
We are basically working on an 8-point program,
Lovely.
which we have for junior guides, handbook for junior guides. Then we have level up for girl guides, and then bigger than that, it's like senior guide level.
Right.
We work on 8-point programs where we work for their development,
Okay.
empower them,
Right.
work for their to how skillful they can be in their society, how can they
Right.
work for their society, and how can they improve their surroundings.
So how effective has that mechanism been so far? You obviously as a international secretary can obviously detail that how the communication with your various departments has been working on.
The communication is quite strong with around the country as well. We have 6 chapters with us, which is in different subas. Like we have in AJK as well, Gilgit-Baltistan, KPK, and in ICT Islamabad as well. So we have a very good communication, and as I am the international secretary, we have a good communication with the international countries as well, like Asia Pacific region. All the countries which are under the umbrella of Asia Pacific region, we have a very good communication with them.
Definitely. So
Wonderful.
obviously, Ajab, communication becomes one integral part when you've got this outreach that you need to go for.
True. So coming to Laiba, so we really want you to explain for us what were some of the activities that you undertook with this organization, and how have you contributed towards your empowerment first, and secondly towards the other girls' empowerment.
Well, there were a lot of activities that I attended, but they were really informative for me and really fun. Like we had sessions, they were quite like a session that was
Self-defense session was
self-defense
quite
session.
interesting for the girls. this
Yes,
time.
it was really interesting and surf smart. Like we played a mini game, which was really fun for me. Like we played with my friends, and
Right.
it was also informative for us as they told us why we need internet protection, why and how we can face dangers online. So other than that, there are many opportunities for girls in guiding, like on international level and national level. I also attended some webinars. So yeah, it was a great experience for me, and because of guiding, not only I got opportunities on both national and international levels, but also it enhanced my social skills, my leadership skills, and also my moral skills.
Well, yes,
to add,
please.
I would like to add that as our current National Commissioner, who is Ms. Mariam Al Sabri, she had introduced Project Stay Safe, which had 4 components in it,
Okay.
which is Serve Smart, which is about how to be safe online,
Internet,
which
yes.
is the need of the era right now
right.
as the world is digitalized. And then it's like emotional well-being. They work on emotional well-being. We have a module complete how to give sessions on that. And then we have a prevention on substance abuse as well, which is an issue in Pakistan right now. And then we have assuring personal safety as well.
That's very important. I think
Yes.
one of the integral parts right now in the modern era for women empowerment is self-defense, Hajra.
Self-defense and especially protecting yourself from the online attacks, because the digital space is so vast and so deep, and you don't know how to protect yourself. And especially we have seen that how the reckless and a very rash use can lead to very dark sort of places when it comes to that. So I really wanted to ask you that what exactly is your guidance or training on the digital aspect of it, because I think it's very fascinating.
Yes,
This is something which we are testing for ourselves, trying for ourselves, and also learning at the same time.
Okay, we are basically, Pakistan Girl Guide Association is basically a member of World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts.
Wonderful.
Yes, so the association, the WAGS Association, it basically gives us resource packs, which is a complete package of how to do carry on activities with girl guides or junior guides. And we have activities like, it's a non-formal education, right? So we teach them through activities which are really interesting. So if we want to teach them Surf Smart, online safety, we have different activities. Like we had National Youth Forum recently. The girls were really interested. They didn't know how to make passwords. They randomly used whatever they wanted, but we gave them our technical skills that you can, how can you make new passwords. And secondly, the most interesting thing for the participants were self-defense. The girls said that we thought that we are so weak, we can't handle any situation if something occurs. But after that training, they think they are strong because they know how to treat or how to face the situation. They know, basically they know the technique to handle such a situation if they face anywhere.
Very important. I think these resource packs, when we talk about a structured approach coming from international experience, is very important, Hajra, because we've got indicators on which we can work on. So, Laiba, self-defense is one aspect of it, but I think right now I'm intrigued to ask you, how is the balance between your studies then and all the work related to the Girl Guides?
I think it's pretty great because at first it was really hard for me to manage my studies and guiding. So I was at the point of giving up. But you know, giving up is never an option. So I think you should try, and if you feel it's all right, you know, it's life. You have to try again. Because if you're willing to do something, you will never give up that easily. So now I have learned to manage my studies and guiding as well.
So do you spread that message of the Girl Guides and
Yes.
recruit more, because in your social circle, your school as well?
Yes, I do. But mostly girls think that this is a waste of time. They don't know about the activities and the camps we attend. So they think, yeah, this is a waste of time. Why would I join it?
Well,
But
Hajra,
but after attending the camps and the
Yes.
activities, they are
Yes.
interested. And usually during the COVID, when there were no physical activities, they used to message us, why aren't there more activities of Girl Guides? So we did a webinar online as well for them to keep them in contact.
so Hajra, are you going to be joining very soon?
Of course, and I'm
Yes,
thinking
we
of
would
telling
love
this
to welcome you.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of telling this to my sister because I do feel that when our parents were growing up, they were in the schools, there was a lot more culture of volunteerism,
Yes,
right?
absolutely, yes.
They were recruited for the Scouts movement and whatnot, and I think this is a very wonderful opportunity which actually trains you for the community service at the school level,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
for our parents, I think most of them had basic first aid training in schools.
True. And we don't have that because somehow that culture faded. But I'm really glad that there's an organization which is doing all of this. So I really wanted to ask you that we do have International Women's Day, right, on 8th of March, right?
11th of October, International Day of the Girls.
So I'm talking
no.
about the Women's
Women's
Day,
Day.
right?
Okay, 8th
So,
of March.
but then we also have a separate day for the girls.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's important to have a separate day for the girls, and what is the importance of this day?
Basically, it started from the United Nations General Assembly when they declared that there should be a day for girls, only for girls, where girls could be empowered and girls could be heard.
Right.
It's to know about their feelings, what do they feel, what change do they want around their society. So basically it started all from 2012, and from that 2012, from till now, every year we have a theme around which we work. We have different activities to do with the girls.
Right.
So this time the theme is Speak Up Girls.
Okay, wonderful.
So Zain,
Yes.
what is the organization doing for protection of the girl child? I mean, we see a lot of cases of violence, unfortunately. We see a lot of cases of abuse, harassment, things that are around, and most of the times girls aren't able to speak up. You know, the cases aren't reported. So what's the Girl Guides Association doing in order to actually, you know, work towards this domain as well?
We are I just said about we are working on 4 components, which one of them is prevention, security, personal security. We have different steps and activities through which we guide them how to be safe at home or outside, how to be vigilant when you're outside, and how to engage with people if you don't know the people. It's all about going through an activity, going through a proper session, and telling them to speak up, never be alone, and discuss it with your parents. It's more important that you should someone with confidence, you have confidence, you should speak up.
That's very important, creating a difference. And of course, Hajra, at the same time, the Girl Guides Association is actually creating a platform where these girls can speak up.
That's very true, and I do feel that incorporating your parents into such kind of campaign is very much important, because I do feel that we do not have a sort of a parent counseling very much prominent in Pakistan, and that is why we see there are a lot of problems, especially communicating with with their generation when it comes to that, right?
Yes,
so
definitely.
is there any training where you focus on the parental aspect too, and you ask them to come here with their daughters and have
for
that
the parents?
Sort of, yes.
We have basically we have a thing that if the parents have any issue, they can come to our office and any question we can answer their questions if they are worried about a brave space, a safe space for their girls.
Yeah, so it can be an informative session as well. That's
Exactly,
very
we have a
important.
proper meeting with them, so it's not a big issue.
Right.
And secondly, the parents have too much of confidence in Pakistan Girl Guide Association.
Yeah, definitely.
They just say that we want to go for camping and their parents allow
They can't do it. But
Yes,
thank you very
exactly.
much. I'm told we're short on time. Thank you very much for joining us. Laiba, what's your final message to all the girls out there who can join the Pakistan Girl Guides Association?
Yes, I would like to say that you have to join Pakistan Girl Guides Association because it not only makes you mentally strong, but it also has sessions that makes you physically fit and strong, like self-defense sessions. And it can also make you mentally prepared for things, you know, like if you're gonna be harassed or something, you're gonna be mentally prepared.
For that scenario as well. But Laiba and Zain, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I think a big shout out to the Pakistan Girl Guides Association for making a difference. And of course, we do know that you know, you can join in as well. Hajra has made her decision, and she's going to get her sister involved. And I think all of us, wherever we can get girls involved in this organization and make a difference. That wraps up this show. Hajra, thank you very much for giving me a long weekend and having me back once again. And of course, do write to us on our social media platforms. And of course, we'll love to get your feedback on board as well from me and the entire team of World This Morning. And Hajra, of course. It's good morning and it's goodbye for now.